Hello and welcome to the dungeon. I'm your host Rob. In today's video we're going to be looking at the Way of the Astral Self monk. So in the last video we looked at the Way of Mercy monk, which was the other subclass we got from Tasha's. Unfortunately that was the good one, and this one is not as good. Now I'm not going to say it's the worst monk subclass out there. Unfortunately there's even worse. Oh, what a terrible idea. But anyways, our next video we're going to be looking at the Drunken Master, which is clearly even worse. And I hate to say that because, I mean, who didn't love that movie, right? We all loved it. And you want to hope that subclass is going to be good, but it's just not. But anyways, today, it's not Drunken Master Day. Today is Astral Self Day. And I think that this is a subclass that at higher levels, the abilities are actually pretty decent. But the problem is that most campaigns don't get to high level, and even if they do, you're not playing at high level that long usually. And the level 3 and 6 abilities, while not terrible, are just not great either. They're like fairly underwhelming, and I think that's my real problem with this subclass. So anyways, let's get into it. Level 3, Arms of the Astral Self. So as a bonus action, you can spend 1 key point to summon the arms of your Astral Self. When you do so, each creature of your choice that you can see within 10 feet of you must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take force damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Alright, so there's more to come, but let's just talk about that right now. So, if you're able to hit a bunch of different creatures, like say 3 or 4 or more, obviously, I feel like this is actually pretty decent. The problem is that A, it's a saving throw for either like full damage or no damage, right? So it's not half damage. If they make it, they take nothing. B, 2 rolls of your martial arts die isn't really a lot of damage. Like at low levels, you're looking at 2 die 4. Even at high levels, like 2 die 10, for example, is an average of 11 damage. That's not great, especially on an AoE attack, you know? I mean, if you compare this to, say, Arms of Hadar, which is a pretty underwhelming warlock spell that they get at level 1, potentially, that's like 2 die 6 damage and knocks things prone. Now, that one does have friendly fire, this doesn't, so there are some advantages there, right? But the other problem, C, as we will now get into, is that you could have just spent that key point and that bonus action to use Flurry of Blows if it's only against like 1 target, and that would almost certainly just be better. So that part is kind of underwhelming, but at least if you're able to hit multiple targets, there's some potential there, right? However, so if the arms last for 10 minutes, they hover near your shoulders or surround your arms, your choice. You determine the arm's appearance, and they vanish if you are incapacitated or die. It should say when you are incapacitated or die because you're a monk, but it doesn't. While the spectral arms are present, you gain the following benefits. You can use your wisdom modifier instead of your strength modifier when making strength attacks, or strength checks and strength saving throws. So that's probably better, right? Most monks tend to dump strength, maybe intelligence and charisma as well. That's kind of what happens when you need a dexterity and wisdom, and then you're also probably going to need some constitution, you know? So, I mean, that is better, but strength saving throws tend to be fairly rare. Strength checks, on the other hand, are fairly numerous, so being able to use wisdom instead could be advantageous there. It's not terrible. Again, it's somewhat circumstantial. If you want to make like a grappler monk, I guess this would be the way to go, but I feel like there's just better ways to make a grappler than to go monk, obviously. Anyways, you can use your spectral arms to make unarmed strikes. When you make an unarmed strike with the arms on your turn, your reach for it is 5 feet greater than normal. That could be good if you're using, like, say, a reach weapon, like a staff or something. The problem is that if you're using a regular melee weapon, you've got a range of 5 feet. So having 10-foot range on your unarmed attacks doesn't really help if you have to be within 5 feet anyway. So this is one that, again, it's like very circumstantial. There's not really a lot of benefit from that particular part of the ability. The unarmed strikes you make with your arms, you can use your wisdom modifier in place of your strength or dexterity modifier for the attack and damage rolls, and their damage type is force. So using wisdom is probably not going to be better than using your dexterity. Dexterity tends to be the main stat on monks. But doing force damage is pretty good at level 3, right? That's more reliable than blunt damage is. A lot of stuff might be resistant or immune to non-magical weapon damage, and doing force damage is obviously better. Now, at level 6, monks' attacks all count as magical anyways, even the unarmed attacks. And at that point, there's really no benefit because magical weapon damage is very, very consistent and reliable. But there is that window between 3, 4, and 5 where this is probably better. So I'm not going to be too negative about this one. I feel like that's the one part of this ability that's actually okay, right? Resistance to non-magical weapons is pretty common, even in lower level monsters, especially like undead and stuff, tend to have that kind of thing. So, that's not a bad ability. Like I said, by level 6, it's probably mostly superfluous. But, whatever. There is that window where it's pretty decent. Level 6, we get Visage of the Astral Self. So you can summon the Visage of your Astral Self as a bonus action or as part of the bonus action you take to activate the arms of the Astral Self. You can spend 1 key point to summon this Visage for 10 minutes. It also vanishes early if you are incapacitated or die. The Spectral Visage covers your face like a helmet or mask, and you determine its appearance. While it's present, you gain the following benefits. I was going to say, in my last video when we were talking about the Way of Mercy Monk, I mentioned how you get this mask you can wear, but it doesn't seem to do anything, so it's like, I don't know why you'd even bother to wear it. But someone in the comment section had a rather hilarious comment, I thought, which is that you wear it, so if somebody sees you that they don't recognize you as being a monk. And I was like, that is hilarious. So I would just suggest the same thing here. You see that cute girl that you liked from the monastery, but you didn't want her to know that you're really a monk, not a fighter. So you wear the mask so she can't recognize you. Perfect use for that ability. Anyways, the Spectral Mask gives you the following abilities. It has 3 different abilities. Astral Sight. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 120 feet. This is not bad. Again, rather circumstantial. Magical darkness could be okay. I mean, you could just have the blind sight fighting ability as well. But, we'll ignore that for now. You're not a fighter, so that's not really for you unless you want to multi-class into it, right? Not really an option. But, you could have a party that wants to use dark vision a lot, right? Like maybe you have a shadow sorcerer, or you have a warlock who wants to use darkness devil sight, or you have both. You could actually build a party around the idea of darkness and devil sight and using that, in a bunch of your encounters. That could actually be pretty decent. But again, it is rather circumstantial. But I think this ability is okay, right? So that's all right. Now, granted, it's only for 10 minutes, but still, Second ability, Wisdom of the Spirit. You have advantage on Wisdom, Insight, and Charisma Intimidation checks. Advantage on Wisdom Insight rolls isn't bad. You're probably not going to be great at Charisma, like I said, but just because you need Dexterity and Wisdom and some Constitution, like something's got to give, right? And, obviously having advantage on Charisma Intimidation checks is better than not having advantage on them, but you probably have, a sorcerer or a warlock or a paladin or a bard or somebody else who uses charisma and, or even a rogue with expertise on those kind of roles, or, better yet, a bard who has charisma and expertise on that stuff and is probably better left to them. Also, just from a roleplay standpoint, if I'm trying to be subtle and figure out if this guy's lying to me, summoning some sort of spectral mask all of a sudden doesn't seem like it's going to be very subtle. I mean, granted, you could summon a spectral version of your own face over top of your face, and maybe that might be a little more subtle, but even still, I don't know. Might just be better to have the cleric cast the Zone of Truth anyways. It's probably just more reliable. But anyway, whatever. It's not terrible, but again, it's just not good either. It's just kind of there. Word of the Spirit. When you speak, you can direct your words to a creature of your choice that you can see within 60 feet of you, making it so that only that creature can hear you. Alternatively, you can amplify your voice so that all creatures within 600 feet of you can hear you. Again, I kind of like that roleplay idea of being able to project my voice over the battlefield. That's kind of cool. Granted, there are cantrips that would allow me to do the same thing if I had cantrips, but I'm a monk, so I don't have cantrips. Uh, Being able to speak privately to somebody up to 60 feet away, that's not terrible. I mean, again, there's a couple of different subclasses of warlock that get something similar, but um, it's not bad. I can speak to that person and only they can hear me. But I do have to summon my mask, which means that again, if I wanted to use this subtly in a role play situation, might not be that subtle all of a sudden when I have a dragon face over top of my face or whatever. Again, somewhat circumstantial. Like I feel like the astral sight though, with being able to see in magical and non-magical darkness, that ability at least is somewhat decent. But like none of these are really like great abilities in my opinion. And this is kind of what I mean. Like by now you're already level 6. And like what do you really have so far? I mean, you have some like cool spectral arms, but they don't really do anything so far. Anyways, moving on to level 11. Body of the Astral Self. So when you have both your arms and the Visage summoned, you can cause the body of your Astral Self to appear, no action required, and it covers your physical form like a suit of armor connecting the arms and the visage you determine its appearance. While the spectral body is present, you gain the following benefits. Deflect energy. When you take acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to deflect it. When you do so, the damage you take is reduced by 1 die 10, plus your wisdom modifier, minimum reduction of 1. So, this isn't bad, right? Those are fairly common damage types, especially fire and cold. But lightning, thunder, force, not so much. Acid, not so much. But there is a decent range of elemental types of damage you could be taking. And reducing those is always good. The only real problem I have with this is that if you're fighting something, like if it's a spell, you're probably not taking a ton of damage, in which case this ability is actually pretty good, right? The issue is that if you're fighting, let's say, a dragon, you can be taking 60, 70 damage from its breath weapon. And, your average on a D10 is a 5.5. It's a 5.5. Let's say you still only have 16 wisdom because you've been raising your dex or whatever else, right? So you're looking at a reduction of 8.5. Now, a lot of these spells and like area effects, like a breath weapon, they do allow dexterity saves or whatever saves for half damage. So, you are stacking on top of that, which is okay. It's not a terrible ability by any means. But just bear in mind that like 8.5 on average, maybe even if it's 9 or 10 damage. If you're taking like say 60, that's not a big difference. If you make a saving throw for half, and now you're looking at 30, and now suddenly you're able to reduce that by 10, suddenly that's not so bad, right? So if you're able to like stack your other defenses and stuff with it, I feel like there's, at least some value here. And it's not a terrible ability. The other ability you get is Empowered Arms. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a target with the arms of the Astral Self, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your martial arts die. Now, unfortunately, it's only once on each of your turns, right? So, if you get a reaction attack from something on somebody else's turn, not able to use it. If you're using it with, like, say, Flurry of Blows or something, you're not able to, like, just make all your attacks with these arms and stack that damage up. But still, it is more damage. That's not awful, an extra damage on martial arts die. It's not technically double the damage because it's not getting your other modifiers, right? But, more damage is better than less damage, and you're probably going to be using your astral arms anyway, so why not? Overall, I don't feel like either of these abilities is great, but they're also not terrible either, and I'd say they're like at least good, right? Or, they're 6 out of 10. Let's put it that way, right? Level 17. Awakened Astral Self. As a bonus action, you can spend 5 key points, but you can summon the arms, visage, and body of your Astral Self and awaken it for 10 minutes. This awakening ends early if you are incapacitated or die. While your Astral Self is awakened, you gain the following benefits. Armor of the Spirit. You gain +2 bonus to your armor class. That's good because your armor class probably kind of sucks because you're a monk. not able to wear armor. You've got your unarmored defense. Hopefully by now you've got maybe like a ring of protection or cloak of protection or something else that can kind of boost your armor a little bit. But, your armor class probably isn't great. So a +2, I mean, it's kind of late in the game to be getting that, but it's better than nothing. So I'll take it. And it's in addition to everything else I'm getting, right? So it's not like that's the only ability here. We also get Astral Barrage. When you use the extra attack feature to attack twice, you can instead attack 3 times if all the attacks are made with your astral arms. This is actually pretty good, right? It's just an extra attack. Nothing wrong with that. Granted, Gloomstalker has got an extra attack in the first round, back at level 3. But, this could carry through multiple rounds of combat, right? So if you're in a particularly long fight, like maybe a 6-round, 7-round, 10-round combat, that extra attack is just getting used every turn. That's not too bad. If you take a couple levels of fighter after this and grab Action Surge, you're going to get that extra attack twice because it's just part of your attack action, right? It does require you to make all those attacks with your astral arms. And granted, one of those could be doing an extra martial arts die damage due to your empowered arms at level 11. The only real drawback here is that you might have a cool magic weapon by now. Like, you are 17th level, right? Maybe you have a monk weapon that's like a +3 weapon, or it does like some sort of like elemental damage on every hit or something. And now you're not really able to use that with that extra attack because all of the attacks have to be made with those spectral arms. But, it's still an extra attack. It's a pretty fine ability. And like I said, it's kind of late in the game to be getting it, but better late than never. And, it's still pretty good. So my only real complaint here is that I really feel like the Arms of the Astral Self, that level 3 ability, should have given you an extra attack way back then. I mean, just thinking about this character, you summon these like astral spectral arms to your body, right? Now, they could cover your arms, but it could be in addition to your arms, right? So you've got like 4 arms potentially, but you have the same number of attacks as any other monk. I would have really liked to see maybe when you spend a key point to use your flurry of blows, you can make an extra attack as part of the attack or part of that bonus action with the actual arm, right? And I don't think it would have been that insanely broken. Like, you're still having to spend key points for that flurry of blows every time, and it's just 1 extra attack, right? Now, that would have been a really solid ability, but I don't think it would have been really overpowered necessarily. One of the problems that we have with monks is that monks tend to be very, very mobile, which is good, and they tend to have a lot of attacks, which is good. The problem is that, and especially in a campaign where you allow feats, which is the majority of campaigns that I've seen, at least, and every campaign I've ever been in, we've allowed feats. You can't really access things like Great Weapon Master. You could try to make a ranged monk with Sharpshooter. That is doable, and some of them are okay. But then you're not able to use those flurry of blows offhand attacks, really, right? So if you want to play the kind of iconic monk, where you're up there and you're using your martial arts abilities and you're kicking and punching and leaping around the battlefield and stuff, you don't have those big damage multipliers. And so you're making a lot of attacks, but they're for lower amounts of damage. And that can be okay still, but in general, other characters could be making almost as many attacks and hitting way harder, which just ends up being better for overall damage, right? The other thing is, I don't really see the big draw of the astral arms at lower levels. I mean, sure, at 17th level, I get an extra attack. That's a great ability. But I would have really liked to see something like an extra attack as part of my flurry of blows. Don't make it an extra bonus action attack on its own or anything like that. It's still requiring you to spend that key point every time you want to use flurry of blows, and that goes by pretty quickly, right? But at least it would have given you, you've already got these extra arms. It just seems like it was such a natural fit to me. And I don't know why, being able to grapple somebody using my wisdom. I mean, okay, that could be all right. doing force damage, again, at levels 3, 4, and 5, that's really good. And there might be circumstances, even at level 6 or higher, where I might want to do force damage instead of bludgeoning, even if it is magical. Maybe I'm fighting a barbarian and they have like a rage ability, right? In which case, they might not be resistant to force, right? So, there are some circumstances where those abilities will still be useful, but they're very niche, right? And I really would just like to see this guy get an extra attack as part of his flurry of blows, And then sure, maybe at level 17, he has both, and maybe he can attack 3 times with a flurry of blows and 3 times with his main attack. But, it's a limited number of times. Fighter could have done the same thing by 17. They've got 3 attacks around. They could action surge twice per short rest at this point. Or maybe it's at 18 when they get the second one. I don't know. But it's right around here anyway. And I don't know. I just feel like you've got extra arms. I'd like to be able to see you make extra attacks with those extra arms. That just seems like a natural fit to me. But of course, that's not what we got. So part of my disappointment with the Astral Self monk is, again, probably that it just really doesn't live up to what my expectations are. And I made this analogy in a different video. I think it was actually the last video, so I won't go into tons of depth, but I made the comparison to like a movie trailer, where you see a movie trailer and you think, man, this movie's going to be awesome. And then you see the movie and it turns out all the best parts were in the trailer. Maybe they even lied to you and there are parts that were in the trailer that didn't even get into the movie, and you're like, what the heck? Meanwhile, we've all seen like bad movies that we know we shouldn't like, but we just kind of do anyways. And a lot of it really is just, did it meet your expectations, yes or no? And if it did, like, you can go in thinking this movie's going to kind of suck and it's going to be cheesy. And maybe it's just a little funnier than you thought. And even though you know it's not a good movie, you can still like that movie, right? Because it surpassed what your expectations were going to be for that show. On the other hand, you can see a movie and think like, yeah, it was pretty good, but I thought it was going to be awesome. And instead of feeling like, that was still a pretty good movie, sometimes you're just disappointed. You're like, I thought that movie was going to be a 9 out of 10, and it was like a 6.5, And it just feels underwhelming because your expectations were so high. And I feel like that's just how so many of these monk subclasses just feel to me. Like, I always have this idea in my head of like, oh, this could be cool. Like, it's going to do this, or it's going to do that. And then when you actually see it in play, you're like, And I get that this is just my opinion. Maybe I'm just not a monks guy, fair enough. I get that there are other people who are, right? And that's why I really try to take a positive approach to these kind of things. I think that me just like complaining about monks for 20 straight minutes isn't really that engaging or fun for people, especially if you kind of like monks, And by the way, you have every right to like the monk, right? I love warlocks. Are they the best class in the game? No, but I just really love them. I find them very fun and thematically cool, and I find that they really lend themselves to like some great backstories. Like, you made some sort of a pact with some sort of extra dimensional being. Like, what is that pact? Why did you do it? Like, just answering those kind of questions I find make really fun and entertaining characters for me to play. And I get like maybe monk is your warlock, right? And having everybody just constantly complain about monk isn't really fun. And to be honest, it's not really cool either, right? Now, it is fun to make a few cheap shot jokes at monks because, they do have some definite flaws. But like, overall, I want to be positive. But I also want to be honest with people about how I feel about the subclass, right? If I'm just saying that everything's great no matter what because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, I'm not really doing you a service there, right? Whenever possible, I try to give my own honest opinions, and I try to, if it's something I've played or something I've seen played at my table, I tend to give that more weight, because I don't have time to play everything. Half the time I'm running the campaigns, right? Half the time I'm a dungeon master, half the time I'm a player, right? But, we tend to have campaigns that run for a year or more in most cases. So I don't have a chance to play every subclass. So sometimes I'm just going by theory crafting, but a lot of times I'm going by what I've seen at the table. And I have seen a lot of monks in our time. And maybe it's because they haven't been very well optimized, right? A lot of people I play with, a lot of them are like really fun players, and a lot of them are like very, very like intelligent in like a lot of their combat strategies, or like I've mentioned, how intuitive some of these guys are, where they're like always like figuring out little plot things and stuff. And I'm just like, man, how did you get that so fast, you know? And I really enjoy that. But like a lot of them aren't really big multi-classers. There's a couple of us who do, but a couple of them have multi-class for the first time ever in this campaign we're playing now, the Bard campaign. And this could be like their 10th or 12th characters, and they've never multi-classed until now, right? So a lot of them aren't necessarily optimizers. I get that. So maybe I just haven't really seen well-played monks. And like I said, I've never really played a monk. They aren't exactly the class that like really draws me in that much. So, you know, maybe that's part of the issue, right? But overall, they're just one of those classes where, like I said, I like the Way of Mercy. I think the Kensai is pretty good. I think the Shadow Monk's okay. I wouldn't say they're great, but they're not bad either. Would have been nice if they got Dark Vision, of course, where they, you know, or Devil's Sight. That would have been a nice boon for them. But whatever. But like I said, like I really don't want to just like sit there and criticize them the whole time. But I also want to be honest with people about the class. Because if all I do is say everything's fine, everything's great, and every time I talk about a subclass, I'm like, oh, it's just really fun and it's really cool. Where's the value in that, right? So, you know, take everything I say as a grain of salt. It is just my opinion, and I realize that I can be completely off base on some of this. Like I said, I've never played this subclass, right? So, you know, I could be wrong. But I have seen it played, and it wasn't spectacular in my opinion. But anyways, that's everything. Thank you for watching and bearing with this rant at the end of the video. Feel free to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and most importantly, leave me your comments in the comment section. That's my favorite part about having a YouTube video, is just like reading everybody's comments and stuff and seeing stuff where they agreed or disagreed or their ideas. And you know, I promise you, I read every single comment. I don't always respond to them all, because sometimes there are a lot of comments, or sometimes I read through them and one guy's made like 20 comments on 20 separate videos, and that's fine. I really do appreciate that. But it doesn't mean I want to go through and necessarily respond to every one of those comments. And sometimes people just have really good comments where, you know, all I'm going to do is just give them a heart or a thumbs up and just be like, yeah, good job. I like what you said, you know. But I promise you, because the channel is still very small, I have the time to read every comment, and I do. So anyways, thank you for watching. My next video is going to be the Way of the Drunken Master, which, believe it or not, I think is even worse than this one. Yeah. Fighter, we kind of like started slow and built up. Just got better and better and better. Monk, we're doing the opposite. We're starting strong. For a monk. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Starting strong for monks and just all downhill from there. And then after that one, the next one is going to be the Paladin multi-class tier video, and then we'll have some more Paladin videos, of course. Probably only one or two, because I've done a bunch of Paladin subclasses in the past. I think Paladins are very, very strong in 5th edition. So naturally, I've tended to make more Paladin videos than we have, say, Monk, for example. So, you know, we're going to get 3 Monk videos here, plus the tier list. So that'll cover a bit more Monk ground, you know. Because, to be fair, Monks are a class I haven't given enough love to. I mean, they are kind of hard to love sometimes, but that's okay. Anyways, enough cheap shots on the Monk for today. I'm sure Drunken Master will have a whole slew of more complaints to make about monks, but whatever. Like I said, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.